Hello, it's Friday. It's another video from Sardines here. Congratulations on finding us, and thank you for just dropping in to have a little look at what we're talking about. Lots to talk about this week. At the moment, the news channels are talking about nothing else other than three things actually, but we don't really talk about Brexit because we don't want to get political. So the big two things that they're talking about are the new rule of six that Boris Johnson announced this week, and of course this Moonshot idea that the government have had, which might be pretty good actually, but let's talk about that in a minute. The rule of six comes in on Monday, the new restrictions for England. Trouble is, because Scotland and Wales are all allowed to make their own restrictions and laws around the pandemic, then it's very confusing. I mean, if you know what the rule of six means one side of the border and not the other, then you're a better man than I am. You know, in Wales apparently you can have 30 people in your garden and it's perfectly fine, but you can't have more than 6 in your garden from Monday. In England, just across the border, you can have 30 people at a wedding, but you can't have 7 people in your back garden. So it's all very confusing. You could do one thing in England that you can't do in Scotland, and you can do one thing in Wales that you can't do in Scotland or England. It's just chaos at the moment. But there we go. So you've got to make of that what you can. The good news for theatre, of course, is that it's going to be exempt from the new rule of six, which is great, isn't it? As long as social distancing is all adhered to, etc, etc, etc. I've been going on and on about that for ages. Andrew Lloyd Webber recently said that the arts are reaching the point of no return, and that something's got to be done because it is impossible to run theatres with social distancing in place. I'm glad he said that. We've been saying it for months. And it's true, and from the surveys that we've been conducting with you guys, we know that most of you, I know there are some exceptions, but most of you are not intending on opening your doors again until social distancing is completely wiped out. I know there are some productions, some amateur companies out there that are going for it, putting some productions on with social distancing in place. There might be outdoor productions, that kind of thing, and so on and so forth, which is great. But the majority of theatres, the majority of companies, definitely professional companies, cannot think about turning a profit over while social distancing is adhered to, and is adhered to. And that brings me on to this Moonshot idea. Now, obviously, there are no end of naysayers and people wanting to scoff at the idea, laugh at the idea, say that it will never happen. But this week Boris Johnson did come up with an idea that could get theatres back on track without social distancing in place. And that is, of course, and this is something that they're intending to pilot in Salford up in Manchester, which is fantastic, even though they've announced it quite early because apparently the technology isn't quite right yet, or even developed properly yet to get this thing off the ground. But the idea is there, which is what matters. Remember, we're all making this up as we're going along, all of us, even the government. We've never been here before, so there will obviously be flaws to announcements, new plans, new rules, and etc, etc, etc. But the idea of this Moonshot is that if enough tests are developed so that a very quick and easy test is available to be stored by people at home, in a domestic environment, they can almost conduct their own test in the morning or in the afternoon, let's say, to give them a negative result, not a positive result, a negative result that says they're not infectious. That means they can take that result, that official whatever it's going to look like, something on their phone or some paperwork or whatever, and they can go to a theatre production or some sort of social gathering in the evening, take along their negative test and say, look, I'm negative today, I'm not infectious. They'd be allowed in to mix in the old-fashioned way. Won't that be amazing if that happens? We're all dreaming of the day when we can get back to normal, and perhaps this is it. Boris Johnson is hoping that this will be developed before the new year, which will be fantastic. There are 200 vaccines around the world, but apparently none of them are going to be ready this side of the new year, which is a bit worrying, isn't it? I mean, the new restrictions have just come in. I know that the rumours were that there was a second wave coming and things are going to be locked down or tightened up a little bit more, and it's happened. So we can't pretend we're surprised by it. We've been saying it's going to happen for a long time. So the vaccines aren't going to be ready. Apparently there are half a dozen for the UK that may be developed sometime next year, but maybe even early next year. But it means that it's not going to be in time for Christmas. Pantomime is finished this year. All pantomime is off. We kind of know that. The West End, Broadway is off for this year, the rest of 2020. The West End, I can't see opening up again this side of the new year. Obviously Cameron Mackintosh had quite a lot of foresight when he closed his big shows. Hamilton, Mary Poppins, Les Mis, and another big one he has in store that I can't remember at the moment. It will come to me in a minute. Hamilton, Mary Poppins, Les Mis, Phantom. That's the other one that's going to be closed till around about Easter time next year. And that'll probably be it with the West End. That'll probably be the way it goes. But maybe if we can get this Moonshot thing off the ground, maybe we can get back to the way that we can remember, to the way we used to go into the theatre, to the way we want to go to the theatre again, to be rubbing shoulders with all along a row with auditoriums packed out. Won't that be an amazing thought? And to know that everyone in that auditorium is non-infectious will be fantastic. There'll be no public confidence will be at an all-time high, because there'll be no worries about, is there someone in here? What if you hear a cough? Does it mean the whole auditorium is possibly going to get infected? No, because no one will be infectious. It'll be fantastic. So at the moment, I know that most of you aren't interested in reopening while social distancing is in place. That's fair enough. I know some are. That's fair enough as well, as long as obviously you understand that face coverings have got to be worn throughout all performances at the moment, from start to finish. You can't sing along. You've really got to. And the trouble is, because amateur theatre is also a hobby, all the focus is going to professional theatre where people are making their living. So for hobbyists like us, we amateurs, it's even tighter than ever. And that's it really. So for now, let's just hope that the government's ideas, they say they're pushing everything into this. They're really pushing forward with this. Lots of money going into it. Lots of focus, lots of energy, lots of manpower or woman power or people power, whatever you want to call it, I don't mind. Let's hope that this thing does get developed. Let's hope that some sort of magic mini test, mini vaccine, mini virus test does get uncovered, so we can produce a negative result as well as that positive result. And if we're non-infectious, if we're non-infectious, then perhaps let's hope we can all meet up one day at the theatre and have some fun again. Wouldn't that be lovely? Stay safe, stay well. We will be back. We might be going to the moon and back first. Who knows? Let's dream of a moonshot. And let's be positive, okay? Let's not be one of the naysayers. There's no end of people that are throwing up naysaying about wearing face coverings, all sorts, whatever the government comes up with. And remember, they are making this up as they go along, just like the rest of us are. It's just that they've got much more responsible positions in society. So let's put everything we can behind these ideas. Let's get back to theatre. Stay safe, stay well. We will be back. See you next time. Bye for now.